Hi y'all, this is Debbie Arnold with Dining with Debbie. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be cooking up one of my favorite vegetables today, and that's Brussels sprouts. And before you turn off, let me tell you, we're going to roast them up and they're going to be delicious. Some of you may have had them boiled to death in the past, and I don't blame you if you don't care for them today for that reason. And yes, they do smell a little bit, but you know, anything good really has a good aroma to it, and I think these Brussels sprouts do. We're going to start off with our fresh Brussels sprouts. These are not the frozen ones, y'all. What's nice is that Brussels sprouts are so readily available in the grocery store these days. I want to show you a couple of things. First of all, they come in random sizes in the package. This is about 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds of Brussels sprouts. I will cut off the end, and these have all been washed thoroughly, and then I will peel some of those outer leaves off because they just don't look very pleasant, for one thing, and I like to know that it's good and clean on the inside. And like all kind of cabbage varieties, you get those outer leaves off, then you get to those clean middles. Alright, this one is large enough that I'm going to cut it in half to roast it. You can even quarter it, but I like mine to stay halved. This has a little spot on it, need to get out. This one is kind of in the middle, and by the time I get through peeling off the outer leaves, it's going to be quite small. So there's really no need for me to cut this one in half. One advantage to cutting it in half is that when you do that, you get that roasted, crispy part on the side that faces down in the roasting pan, so it would turn brown and crispy. Alright, so we have our Brussels sprouts all ready to go. We're going to coat these Brussels sprouts with some salt and pepper. It's about a quarter to a half a teaspoon, and I'm using kosher salt again, and then freshly cracked black pepper. Now when I say freshly cracked, I put a whole bunch of peppercorns in a blender and grind them up at one time and then put them in my jar so that I'm not constantly having to grind the pepper. But usually it's about a week's supply at the most. Alright, so there's our pepper. You can always adjust the salt and pepper to your taste. Then we need about 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Now this is my garlic infused olive oil, and you may have seen the video earlier about that. If you didn't, go back and watch that and infuse some garlic into some olive oil, and you'll have a steady supply. If you don't have that done and don't have time today, just use plain olive oil. So about 3 tablespoons, and I'm guesstimating here. Alright, and then about a tablespoon of water, and that just helps to coat. Alright, we're going to toss those, and then we're going to put them on our roasting pan. I've lined mine with parchment paper. You don't have to. I just like not to have to clean up any more than I have to. And they'll still roast up fine. We have preheated our oven to 500 degrees. They do not take long to cook. You'll roast them for about 10 minutes at 500 degrees. But be sure that they're face down here because you want those nicely browned edges. Okay. Some of these I didn't cut in half, and I should have. I tried growing Brussels sprouts this year for the first time. I just came across some plants that were already started, and our plants were beautiful. We had lots of tiny little Brussels sprouts on them, but it just got too hot. You know, those really need to be grown in cooler weather, and I just got them started too late. But we really enjoyed seeing the plants in the garden. They were just gorgeous and got so big. So I have some started for the fall garden, and I need to get those in the ground, but I decided I'd wait on the weather just a little bit. Alright, so we've got those in there in our pan face down in a single layer, and now I'm going to cover them with some aluminum foil. I have done it both ways in the past, and I find that they tend to, with a cover and without a cover, tend to stay more moist if I go ahead and cover them like this. And I'll take it off right at the end. So I'm going to put it in the oven at 500 degrees for 10 minutes. And meanwhile, I have a small skillet here, and I'm going to crush up a couple of cloves of garlic. Actually, I've got 3 cloves here, but a couple of the cloves are really tiny. You've seen me do this before. You know, you can take out your hostilities or whatever on that garlic. Gonna smash it up, and then I'm gonna mince it up finely. While I'm doing that, I'm going to be heating up in my skillet some 3 tablespoons of olive oil again. Just kind of over medium heat. What we'll do with this is we will use it to coat the Brussels sprouts after we get them out of the oven and just before serving. All right. I love the smell of garlic. I know a lot of people don't, but I really do. Garlic and onions when they're cooking, I'm not sure there's a better smell, honestly. All right, there we go. All crushed up, minced up, rather. Now, also I have some crushed red pepper flakes. I have several different varieties of red pepper flakes, but these are the most common variety that you can find. Just crushed red pepper flakes that you'll find just about in any grocery store. At least hopefully you will these days. And by toasting them in this olive oil, we're going to bring out the fragrance and the flavor of both the garlic and the red pepper flakes. We've got about 1/2 of a teaspoon of red pepper flakes. And we're going to add in our garlic. We have these on kind of a medium-low heat. We're going to let those just cook there and toast up a little bit. They don't need to cook really all that much. The garlic, as soon as the garlic is soft and you start to smell it, smell that aroma from the garlic, then you need to take it off the heat and just set it aside until your Brussels sprouts get done. When they come out of the oven, we're going to pour that over them and then we'll serve them up. And I'll come back and show you how that looks. Thanks so much. Come back and join me. Okay, so our Brussels sprouts cooked in the oven for about 10 minutes, covered tightly with that aluminum foil that we put over them. Then I took them out, took the foil off, put them back in the oven for probably about 7 to 8 minutes more. You'll just have to judge that. They're nicely browned on the outside, got that crispiness to them that we like. And you'll notice that even on the cut side, it's got some browning on it. That's what makes them so flavorful. And we took the oil that we mixed up earlier with the garlic and the red pepper and sprinkled that over there, mixed those up just to give it that little boost of extra flavor. And now we're going to sprinkle them with some freshly grated Parmesan cheese. If you do not have freshly grated, you can use the dry stuff, but I prefer to grate it if I can. If I don't, I use the other 2. It's just whatever you have on hand. Try to use up what's in your pantry, your refrigerator, or whatever. But I think you'll really enjoy these roasted Brussels sprouts with Parmesan. Put them on your menu and see what your family has to say. Thanks so much, and I hope you give them a try. It's a new way to try Brussels sprouts, a new thing to add to your dinner menu. Thanks so much for joining me, and I appreciate it. Leave me a comment down below and tell me how you like Brussels sprouts, if you do, if you've ever tried them roasted before. And if you have a favorite recipe, share it with me. I'd love to try it too. Thanks so much. I appreciate it very much.